Нали, може.
Да, разбира се.
Georgie, thanks for joining me.
Always a pleasure.
For this inspiration talk. So we're going to talk about your experience in Nepal. I'm not so sure that everyone on the floor knows about it. So can you please tell us, when did you go to Nepal and what exactly did you do there?
Certainly. So I went to Nepal last year for the month of May. It was a 1-month stay. And I went there on a humanitarian mission to help build schools in Nepal. So it was great.
Okay, I'm always wondering, how people decide to do this stuff. Like, you're getting out of your comfortable life in your daily stuff, and you decide to go so far just to, get out of your comfort zone and help people. Could you please share with us, want to go back, people when they go out of their comfort zones, often we're dragged back to our own previous reality just because we're doing something new. Was there a time that you were thinking, okay, I'm just gonna grab the airplane and go back home?
Surprisingly, no. Like, I was actually legitimately surprised with myself with this, because I've been camping in my life like once. And I like my modern day comforts, I like running water, I like heating, I like having a solid roof over my head and whatnot. But surprisingly, there was not a single point where I was like, I can't take this, I need to go. Like, I just need to bail on this. And I think partly was just because of the sheer magnitude of the whole experience. Like, you just wake up every day and like you're gonna meet something new. You gotta have this wonderful conversation with this person. You gotta share these stories, and it's just like a constant, roller coaster of positive emotions. So it just keeps you going. Like, you completely, like, all the back-breaking labor just fades into the background. And yeah, you come back home and you're raking in. You're gonna have to shower, like squatting down with like a little bucket, but at the end of the day, like, it doesn't even bother you. Like, that's your best part of your day. Like, showering with a bucket, who cares?
Okay, they're saying that the Nepalese people, they are very poor but very happy. They're very smiley. And first of all, is that true? And second of all, why do you think, if that's true, of course, why do you think it's true?
So, it's true. It's 100% true. And it is largely part of the way they think. Like, religion plays into this a lot. Like, obviously they take their, belief system to heart. But I think it's just their general way of thinking, like, religious dogmas aside. Like, the way a Nepalese person thinks. So, for example, here's a concrete example. There was this one man, I think it was one of the Masons. Like, he lost most of his family in the earthquake back in 2015. He lost so much. He lost almost everything he had, and he was still smiling. He was still okay. And when you ask him, like, why? Like, aren't you sad? Like, didn't this, like, you just lost everything? And he's like, well, if I start crying and if I start, being sad and being negative, or just making this somebody else's problem, it's not gonna solve anything. It's not gonna bring my daughter back. It's not gonna rebuild my house. It's not gonna rebuild my country. So crying about it isn't gonna fix anything, but choosing to look past it and overcome it at least gives us a shot at a brighter future. So that was like the predominant way of thinking, and I think that's why the country is still doing okay, still hanging on.
Do you think we can do such a thing here in Bulgaria, or not do such a thing, but start experience life like a Nepalese, or in general the Western world? Why are we so different? Obviously the religion plays a big role, but can you do that like the Nepalese are doing it?
Religion is part, but I wouldn't say it plays that much of a difference. I think that it's definitely doable. I think it's all a state of mind. Happiness is a state of mind. It's all in the way you choose to see things, it's the way you choose to react to things. What I think is different, well, there's a lot of things different, and the more you dig into these things, the more complex they become, but in reality it's quite simple. And I think that one of the main things is just, things are bad here, but they're not as bad as we like to make them think. We kind of like to inflate our problems, and because that kind of takes the blame out of us. It takes the responsibility away from us. It's like, oh, it's their fault, it's the government's fault, it's that fault, it's communism's fault, it's this fault, that fault, that fault. You're constantly blaming and shifting, pointing the finger at somebody else, and then you don't really think about, okay, but what am I doing to actually make a difference? What am I doing to make things better? Even, we're not saying like, you know, run for president or anything like that. We're just saying simple things like just not throwing your trash on the floor, not being, you know, not being the old granny waiting at the bus station, you know? Because I saw that just even on the way to this morning, on the way to work, you know, it's on the way, I think. And here...
Do you think a Bulgarian person can be poor and happy?
I definitely think they can. I think we choose not to. And here our problems are a bit different. See, this is where it comes in. I feel like we got the worst out of the modern mix. Like we got the whole dynamic lifestyle. We got, you know, the endless 9-to-5 grinds and all that. And our problems, like they're just these constant nagging pseudo-bureaucratic things that are constantly like biting at us from all directions. And you're in a place where you're just comfortable enough to, you know, survive. You have like your basic necessities, but you don't feel fulfilled enough, or you don't feel like anything you're doing is actually making any substantial difference. These people, they live day by day. So he knows that he gets up today, he's gonna work the field, and that's gonna be his food. He has to literally go out there and work for his food. Here we know that you can always get food off of the supermarket, and if you go and do your job, and I think that's kind of like something that's very problematic. Like we haven't learned to properly deal with modern day life in the same way that...
Is that like a disconnection from nature?
I think it has a lot to do with it. I think that indeed our disconnection with nature definitely seems to be pulling us in the wrong direction.
All right. Was there a particular experience that you can distinguish? Okay, I will always remember that, or this, or was just Nepal your massive experience to remember?
I think it's just you gotta take it all as a bundle. Like all the people I met there, like every single experience, like it was all great. Even the point where I got sick and like I was throwing up my guts out, like even that was like a good experience in its own right. But I think that the one thing that will really stick with me is just the people overall. The people from all hands, the people who are from the organization, the other volunteers, the Nepalese people. I think that that's just the one thing that will stay with me like forever. And let me just give you an example. Like it was such a crazy mix of people. You had like people who were in their last year of engineering school learning to build spaceships. And then you had other people who were like, they were just kind of like traveling for the past 6 months. They've traveled half across the world and they're planning doing it for another 6 months. So you get like this incredible mix of different people from different perspectives, different backgrounds, different nationalities, and they're all kind of coming together, united by this one goal of helping people, and just all of that was just like truly beautiful.
So do you think that happiness is here and now? And do you think that people get happiness out of helping other people?
I think happiness is a state of mind. I think that you can choose to be happy or you can choose not to be happy. It's all in the way you choose to perceive things and the way you choose to interact. Yes, sometimes horrible things will happen that are outside of your control and you'll feel like, wow, why is this happening to me? Why me? And it's very easy to fall into that victim-like mentality. And I think that's pretty much the bane of our existence. Like, I believe that people can become what they choose to become, and choosing to become the victim is simply like unforgivable in my way, because yes, oftentimes you will become a victim of circumstance. Things will happen that are outside of your control. Horrible things maybe. But yet, at the end of the day, everyone has problems. Everyone goes through their own journey and they have their own things they need to overcome and deal with. So you can either choose to learn from this, choose to let it, okay, this happened to me, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger, we will move on and I will become better. Or you can choose, let it define you. And that way you just become a victim of circumstance and you become a victim in your own way. And it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you think you're a victim, the more life will victimize you.
Strong. Did you realize that happiness is a state of mind in Nepal, or you always knew that in Nepal, just, was the proof?
I definitely think it's something I always knew, but I definitely think that it's absolutely necessary to do it. Like some say that the difference between, knowledge and wisdom is actually doing it, and I completely agree with that. Like, I kind of thought that I thought that this is the case in the back of my mind this whole time, but this definitely solidified that belief. And it definitely reinvigorated my hope in humanity to a great extent. I mean, if 100 people with no construction work experience, grabbed from all over the world and tossed into a Nepalese jungle, can build 2 schools 4 months ahead of schedule, then imagine what the human race can do if we just kind of got together.
Do you plan to do such a thing again sometime, I mean, in some part of your life?
Oh, definitely. I will definitely, if I had the opportunity, or if I don't, I'll make the opportunity, but I'm definitely planning on doing something like this in the future. Maybe not in the immediate future, but I feel like if I ever feel like I just need to kind of clear my head and kind of put things into perspective again, like if I'm losing my way, that would be like my first go-to solution.
What was the thing that you learned the most there? If there is a thing at all that you have learned. Was there something that you have learned from your Nepal experience? Like,
I learned, well, or at least I rediscovered that, unity can move mountains, that happiness is a state of mind, and that people should really try to be better people for themselves and for those around them.
Okay. You can share something to your colleagues here, say a couple of words.
Well, I'm not gonna, there's nothing like, I'm not gonna do like a particular sign-off message like, this is my public service announcement. I'm not gonna really do that, but I do wanna reiterate something that we've already discussed. And I do think that if you break it all down at the end of the day, you can pretty much, if you wanna have a simple black and white, rule of thumb, so to speak, I think that there's 2 states of being. There's love and there's fear. And people have this great misconception, like love has turned into a cliche. It's, when you say love, people always think like, oh, romantic relations, boyfriend, girlfriend type things. No, I think that love is of more far-reaching quality, and it can extend to anything, love for yourself, love for one another, love for mankind, love for, just feeling good. And I think that all good emotions are just a byproduct of love. And on the other end of the spectrum, you got fear. People would say it's hate. I think that hate's just a byproduct of fear. Like, if you break it down, if you hate something, if you really drill down to the core of it, you'll always find that hidden layer of fear just there under the surface. Like, oh, am I good enough? Am I gonna be accepted? Am I gonna be loved? Is my life in danger in some cases? And all of these many faces of fear just kind of drip down and condense into all the other negative emotions that plague our life. So in that sense, if you want a solution, you just gotta break it down between a choice, love and fear. And I always choose love.